Hello everyone. As we discussed earlier in the last video to help you in your preparation of computer exam. So, in this video we will discuss the question of send up examination which was recently taken by the student of St. Joseph School, Bhagalpur. If you want to fully get prepared for your board exam, watch the video till end. Here comes the question. Define the following abstraction, and the second one is unboxing. Here we will give not much time on theory part as we can understand it easily. But if you want to make another video of any particular topic, mention it in the comment section. So, as we know that Java is object-oriented programming language. An object-oriented programming language has certain features such as polymorphism, abstraction, inheritance, class and object, in which abstraction refers to the act of representing essential features without including the background details. The second definition of unboxing is converting an object of a wrapper type to its corresponding primitive data type is called unboxing, while the opposite of unboxing is autoboxing, in which primitive data types are converted or wrapped to an object through a wrapper class. The next question is one advantage and one disadvantage of using switch as compared to an if-else statement. We know that a switch statement is more efficient than a set of nested if or if-else, since the compiler knows that the case constant simply must be compared for equality and none other relational expression. So, while in the case of if-else, the compiler has no such knowledge. While a switch has one disadvantage, that float constant or double constant cannot be used in the case of switch statement. Another disadvantage is switch cannot use a variable expression and relational expression, while in if-else we can write any expression as we desire. The next question is one similarity and one difference between array and an object. Seeing the declaration of both array and object, we can clearly notice that array and object both uses the keyword new for its creation. So it can be one similarity, while the other similarity is array and object both are immutable. That is, it means the values in it can be changed. Okay. The difference between array and object is array can store the value of homogeneous data type, while object is a collection of values of any data type. The next question is what is the use of keyword case in a switch statement? The keyword case is a conditional level which is used with the switch statement. It contains a block of code which is executed only when the switch value matches the case. Case does not hold the value of boolean, float and double data type. It is the point to be noted. The next question is write the difference between call by value and call by reference. Let me tell you that it's a very important question which mostly comes in board exam, and for some student it's little bit confusing also. To understand it, सबसे पहली बात ये ध्यान में रखना है कि जब भी कोई भी वैल्यू अगर हम पास करते हैं किसी फंक्शन को कॉल करके, तो जैसे कि हमने यहाँ पे a और b पास किया है x एंड y को, तो a एंड b का ओरिजिनल वैल्यू x एंड y के पास नहीं जाता है. a एंड b का एक डुप्लीकेट कॉपी बनता है एंड देन वो x एंड y में जाके स्टोर होता है, एंड जो भी ऑपरेशन परफॉर्म होगा स्वैप फंक्शन के अंदर, यहाँ पे स्वैप फंक्शन के अंदर, तो वो और डुप्लीकेट वैल्यू पे ऑपरेशन परफॉर्म होगा. एंड देयरफॉर कोई भी चेंजेस, जैसे कि इस फंक्शन में हमने स्वैप किया है दो वैल्यूज़ को, तो वो चेंजेस डुप्लीकेट वैल्यूज़ में होंगे एंड वो चेंजेस ओरिजिनल वैल्यूज़ में नहीं होंगे. तो इस वजह से हम कॉल बाय वैल्यूज़ में अगर कोई भी वैल्यू पास करते हैं तो उस वैल्यू में कोई चेंजेस नहीं आता है. एंड बाकी रहा बात कॉल बाय वैल्यू को समझने का, तो जस्ट ये समझो कि कॉल बाय वैल्यू है, मतलब जब भी कोई भी हम फंक्शन कॉल करेंगे तो उसमें वैल्यू पास करेंगे। जैसे कि यहाँ पे हमने ये स्वैप फंक्शन कॉल किया है, तो यहाँ पे हमने a और b का वैल्यू पास किया हुआ है बस। वाइल इन द केस ऑफ कॉल बाय रेफरेंस, तो सबसे पहले यहाँ पे रेफरेंस का मतलब समझो। रेफरेंस टू अ वेरिएबल मीन्स लोकेशन ऑफ दैट वेरिएबल। तो यहाँ पर जब भी हम कॉल बाय रेफरेंस कॉल करते हैं तो वहाँ पे रेफरेंस पास करते हैं, ना कि वैल्यूज़। जिस तरीके से कॉल बाय वैल्यू में हमने वैल्यूज़ पास करा था, उसी तरीके से इन द केस ऑफ कॉल बाय रेफरेंस वी विल पास द ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ दैट वेरिएबल और द लोकेशन और रेफरेंस ऑफ दैट वेरिएबल। जैसे कि यहाँ पे हमने स्वैप फंक्शन कॉल करा है, तो यहाँ पे हमने एक R1 नाम का एक ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट किया ऑफ द क्लास रेफरेंस एंड देन उसको स्वैप फंक्शन में पास किया। और इस तरीके से जब भी वैल्यू हमने पास करा स्वैप फंक्शन में, तो वो उस समय उसका ऑब्जेक्ट के ज़रिए उसका ओरिजिनल वैल्यू आया, ना कि डुप्लीकेट कॉपी बना। जैसे डुप्लीकेट कॉपी कॉल बाय वैल्यू के केस में बनता है, उस तरीके से यहाँ पे डुप्लीकेट कॉपी नहीं बनता है, ओरिजिनल वैल्यूज़ आता है। एंड स्वैप फंक्शन में ओरिजिनल वैल्यूज़ आने के वजह से यहाँ पे ओरिजिनल वैल्यूज़ में चेंजेस आता है एंड देयरफॉर it reflects back in the main function, and therefore the value of r1.a and r1.b changes to 20 and 10 respectively. Hence we can clearly see the difference that in the case of call by value, a function is called by directly passing value of variable as argument. Argument means here it is parameter, while in the case of call by reference, a function is called by directly passing address of variable or creating object of that class as argument. And the second difference is calling function by value does not change actual value of variable. ऐसा इसीलिए होता है क्योंकि जब भी हम कोई वैल्यू पास करते हैं तो उसका डुप्लीकेट वैल्यू बन के दूसरे फंक्शन में जाता है, and therefore the changes will be in the duplicate variable and it will not affect the actual variable. While in the case of call by reference, calling function by reference changes actual values of variable, क्योंकि हमने जब भी कॉल करा था उस फंक्शन को तो उस रेफर किया था डायरेक्ट उसके लोकेशन पे, and therefore the changes will be made in the actual variable. Hopefully ये आप लोगों को समझ में आया होगा, बट अगर नहीं समझ में आया तो कोई बात नहीं, आप कमेंट सेक्शन में लिखते, हम इस पर वीडियो फिर से बनाएंगे। The next question is, name the Java keyword or operator that informs the compiler that we are going to use a class from another package. तो इसका आंसर होगा import। जब भी किसी भी दूसरे पैकेज से हम लोग क्लास को यूज़ करना चाहते हैं तो हम लोग import का यूज़ करते हैं, जो कि फर्स्ट लाइन में लिखते हैं। जैसे कि अगर स्कैनर क्लास यूज़ करना है तो हम लोग लिखते हैं import java.util.*. And the second question is the Java keyword or operator that allocates memory space for a variable of non-primitive data type. तो इसका आंसर होगा new. New operator allocate करता है memory space for a variable of non-primitive data type. The next question is question number 2b. Rewrite the given statement after replacing math.abs using shortcut if else operator. तो math.abs का अगर हम यूज़ देखें तो math.abs हमेशा कोई भी अगर मान लो math.abs of -5 लिखते हैं तो a का वैल्यू 5 हो जाता है, एंड अगर math.abs 5 लिखते हैं तो उसका 5 ही रह जाता है। मतलब इट मीन्स कि अगर कोई भी नेगेटिव वैल्यू रहता है तो उसका पॉजिटिव कर देता है एंड पॉजिटिव को पॉजिटिव ही रखता है। तो इसको टर्नरी ऑपरेटर में बनाने के लिए ए वेरिएबल में मेरे को स्टोर करना है। देयरफॉर अगर कोई भी नंबर पॉजिटिव कब होता है, जब वो ग्रेटर देन 0 होता है। देयरफॉर वी हैव रिटन द कंडीशन इफ़ बी ग्रेटर देन 0। अगर बी ग्रेटर देन 0 इट मीन्स अगर पॉजिटिव हुआ तो वो एज यूजुअल स्टोर हो जाएगा ए में, बी स्टोर हो जाएगा ए में। इफ़ बी इज़ नॉट ग्रेटर देन 0 इट मीन्स इफ़ इट इज़ नेगेटिव देन it will be multiplied with -1 and then it will be stored in A. Therefore the minus sign will be removed, as suppose that B is -5 Therefore it will be multiplied with -1 and it will be stored in A like here. Okay. The next question is question number 2C. Identify the type of constant. The first is the /t in double quotes. As we know that any character or number or a special character stored in double quotes is a string constant. Therefore C1 is a string constant, while if any single character or a number is stored in single quotes is called character constant. Here in the second number we can see that it is neither a string constant nor a character constant, since neither here it is a double quotes nor here it is a single character, so it is not a constant. Third number is a floating point constant. Fourth number is not a constant, since private and that also a small p should be there and it would be a keyword. Therefore it is not a constant. And the next question is question number 2D. Write one example of explicit type conversion. As we know that there are two types of conversion: implicit type conversion and explicit type conversion. Explicit type conversion is generally used when we are converting from higher data type to lower data type. Therefore we have taken long L equals to 24 and then I have converted it into int, and the given step is used for converting like explicit type conversion. The next question was example of converting string to an int value, and therefore it is only possible when we use a wrapper class. Using wrapper class we can convert any value, any primitive value, any primitive data type to any other primitive data type without using explicit type conversion or implicit type conversion. We can also convert string to int value or integer object. So here is the step how to convert from string to int value. Here we can see that string s is equals to 100 in double quotes. It means it is a string constant, and to convert it into an int value I have just written integer dot parse int s, and therefore I will have the value of 100. Here the wrapper class is a static class, therefore we are writing integer dot parse int. One thing is to keep in mind while converting string to an int value is that string s should always contain a number. It should not contain any character, otherwise there will be an error. Use of array in a program. It is the question number 2E. Here the use of array, that array is a collection of homogeneous data items. It means that it can contain a large number of data in just one object, and it stores the data in a contiguous memory location. It means that if we know the address of one of the value, then we can get address of the last value or mid value or any other value, and hence we can say that array stores the data in a contiguous memory location. Here the next question is question number 3A, in which it is given the array named list, and there are certain elements, and we have to show the contents of the array after each pass if we arrange the array element in descending order using bubble sort algorithm. Here we don't have to write the program, we just have to show the contents of the array after each pass. So to write the content of the array we must know how the bubble sort algorithm works. I will not explain it here, but if you want to make another video of this topic, bubble sort algorithm, please mention it in the comment section. Here just think that we just compare the element of two adjacent index of array element, like we are comparing 10 and 8, and if there is any changes, it means that we have to compare the value of two adjacent index, and if the first one is bigger than the second one, then we don't have to change the value, since we have to arrange the array elements in descending order. And if there exists, like in the second case, there exists that second element is less than the first element, then we will interchange the value. Like in the first pass, we are just using see here that we are if the second one is smaller than the first one, we are exchanging the value, and if the second one is smaller than the first one, then we don't interchange the value. You can see it here clearly. The next question is question number 3b. Here we have to find the value of y, where the value of a, b and c are given 27, 72 and 55 respectively, and the one equation is given that y equals to math.max, in which parameter is a, math.min, and another parameter is b, c. During the solution, we have to show the step that math.min b, c, where b is 72 and c is 55, and min function is a function which gives the minimum value. Therefore, among the 75 and 55, 55 is minimum, and therefore that math.max will have the parameter 27, 55, and max function gives the maximum value. Therefore, between 27 and 55, 55 is maximum, and therefore 55 is stored in y, and therefore the value of y will be 55. The next question is 3c, where we have to find the value of y, and y is equals to math.round 2.1 plus math.abs minus 13 plus math.ceil minus 15.6, and we know that math.round function gives the nearest integer. Like here it is math.round 2.1, it will give 2. Math.abs gives the value after multiplying with minus 1 if it is negative, and it will return the same value if it is positive. Therefore, since it is minus 13, it will give 13. You can see it here. And math.ceil function will give the greatest integer after that. Since here it is given minus 15.6, and the greatest integer after that is minus 15, therefore the math.ceil minus 15.6 will return minus 15, and therefore to calculate the value of y, we will add all this, and after the solution, the value of y will be 0. The next question is to find the output of the following code segment, where the value of a is 16 and b is 10. We have to write the output as the final value of a and b. Here the a is a plus b, and therefore a is 26. The next step, a becomes 16, and the next step, the value of b becomes 6. It is not the code of swapping the program. The swapping of program is little bit different, as we saw the example in call by value function, and therefore the value of a will be 16 and b will be 6. Here in the question 3d, the question is asking the final value of a, b and c. In this type of question, first of all, make a table of whatever the value the question is asking, like here a, b and c, and write the initial value of it. And during the solution, we know that the plus c is a prefix increment, while c is a postfix increment. In the case of prefix increment, first we increment the value and then we write the value in the expression, while in the case of postfix increment, we first write the initial value of that variable and then we increment. If you have any confusion, please go back 20 seconds back and watch the video again. And if you want to make me another video on the topic postfix and prefix increment, then please write it in the comment section. Now let me explain this solution. Here it is c into equals to plus plus c. Therefore we have written c equals to c into plus plus c and the whole expression as usual. Now in the first case, we have to write the initial value of c, which is 4. See it from table, okay, and then it is plus plus c. Now the value is 4 and it is prefix increment. Therefore first we have to increment the value, so it will become 5, and then we will write it in the expression. Now the next is minus 2 into plus plus a. Again it is prefix increment. Therefore we will increment the value from 2 to 3, and then we will write in the expression into plus plus b. Again it is prefix increment. First we will increment the value and then we will write in the expression, and then it is a plus plus. Here we see that it is a postfix increment. Therefore first we will write the initial value, which is 3, and then we will increment the value to 4, and then we will use it in the next expression. And here it is divided by c plus plus. Again it is postfix increment. Therefore we will write the first initial value, which is 5. We have written 5, and then we will increment the value. Now we will normally calculate the values of all the expression, and by solving it we get the value of c is equals to minus 41, while we will write the final value of a and b, which is 4 and 17 respectively. Most probably you will odd have could get confused, so please go back 2 minutes back and again watch this video again. The next question is 3f. Read the question carefully. Write the name of the class and the prototype of the library function required to do the following. Remember, we have to write both the class and the prototype. Here the first number is convert a string to an object of class integer. Here see it clearly that we have to convert it into an object of class integer, and since the question is asking class as well as prototype, therefore the class will be a wrapper class and the prototype will be integer dot value of string s, static integer value of string s. The point to be noted that string, if we want to convert string to an int primitive data type, then we will use this prototype, not that one. Okay, there is a difference and there is a confusion also, so clear concept, have a clear concept of it. The next is write the class and prototype to extract the first 3 characters of a string. We know that this type of function comes in string class only. Therefore class will be a string class and the prototype is string substring, and to extract first 3 characters we have to write 0 beginning index and the last index, which is 3. The next question is question number 3e, where we have to find the output of the given code segment. The writing in the black pen is the question and the writing in the blue pen is the answer of the following question. Therefore array is given, which is 5, 10, 15, 20 and 25, and for loop is started from I equals to 1. Keep in mind, note it, I is equals to 1, which is which runs till ar dot length, which will be 5, and as usual there is an increment, and the array elements are changed. See here, array elements are changed, in which the present array element will store the value of last array index. Okay, so here we can see through the dry run that in the case of when I equals to 1, it will store the value of previous index, which is 5, while in the case of 2 it will store the value of index of 1, which is 10, and similarly you can see the output. get the answer of this question. The next question is question number 3H, where we have to find the output of the given code segment. Here a for loop is with having multiple initialization and modification. Don't get confused over here, because a for loop can have multiple initialization as well as multiple modification with one condition. Therefore, in the question there are two initialization of the values of a and b, and the one condition and modification of two variable. Inside the for loop there is an inner for loop, which is just an illusion. Okay, it's an illusion for time killing, since the inner for loop contains only one statement, and the one statement is of break statement. It means whenever the compiler controls in the way of break, the statement gets immediately terminated outside the for loop, and therefore after seeing the break, the control will get terminated always outside the inner for loop. Okay, so don't get confused over here, and the normal output of the program is given as below. Here we can see that the inner for loop can be written as follow. You can see it clearly over here, that whenever it comes inside the inner for loop and the condition gets satisfied that a modulus b, that is if a is divisible by b and the remainder becomes 5, then it will have a break statement, and else it will have no any statement in the inner for loop. And therefore you can see the output and understand it by going one by one step in the dry run. Okay, here we have completed the questions of section A. If you get confused in any part of the video, please watch that part twice or thrice. It will clear your doubt. If yet it is not clear, please mention it in the comment section. I will try my another best way to make you understand in the coming video. To get the PDF of question and answer, check it in the description box. There is a link over there. The section B of this question will be in the next video. तो बस फिलहाल के लिए इतना ही. All the best for your preparation. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you. Like this video, hit the like button, subscribe my channel and share to your friend. Thank you.